Welcome back to another episode of Surrender for Sanity. I am your host, Angela Richardson. I really don't know what episode this is. I can't even tell you what the title is going to be right now, but I will tell you I'm going to be speaking about a plethora of things, more so about obedience, transitioning, and stewarding your assignments well. Okay, so what I am first of all, we are going to be speaking on coming from the book of Matthew. Okay, Matthew chapter 4 verses 18 through 22. Okay, and you guys have to excuse if it's a little bit loud in here. I do have the AC on just a little bit. It's a little warm, and I'm at the park. I have the windows up to kind of, block out some of the outside distractions and the noise and things like that. So, all right, let's get into it. So, verse 18 says, as Jesus was walking beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, called Peter, and his brother Andrew. They were casting a net into the lake, for they were fishermen. Come, follow me, Jesus said, and I will send you out to fish for people. At once they left their nets and followed him. Going on from there, he saw two other brothers, James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John. They were in a boat with their father Zebedee, preparing their nets. Jesus called them, and immediately they left the boat and their father and followed him. All right, so why these verses, you might ask? Well, let me tell you guys something. For those of you that follow along, my last video, maybe not the last one, but the one prior to that, I think I spoke on how the Lord led me back to Virginia and how he led me back to my job and new vehicle, all of these testimonies, both of those testimonies, right? Well, I am back to tell you, just as quick as I was there, I am no longer there. As of December the 29th, that was my last day, the Lord told me that my assignment there was done. I was released. It was time to go. He said, move forward. And I did not want to hear him. I was just praying that I heard that wrong. I will say this, I think it was the Tuesday before Christmas. I don't know what day it was, the 22nd, 23rd, I'm not sure. I think it was the 22nd because we were off on, maybe the 23rd. But either way, as I was speaking, we were having our little Christmas party, amongst our little department or a little group. And one of my coworkers said she was taking her Christmas decor down because she knew she was going to be off for the week. She wouldn't be back until after the new year. And the Holy Spirit spoke to me at that time as I was just kind of enjoying myself, with my coworkers and things. And he said, you're not coming back after the Christmas break. And I just kind of looked and I turned my back to everyone, just kind of ignored it. I stuffed it because I was praying that I was wrong. I said, no, I don't think you heard that right. So I just kept doing what I was doing and I went on about my business. Well, over Christmas break, we were off that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The Holy Spirit made it very clear that I was not to return after the holiday. He said, put in resignation. Friday was her last day. And I was like, and that Tuesday was our Friday. And I was like, nah, this cannot be right. God would not just snatch you up like that and have you, walking away from things. That's just no. When I left the first time, he had me to actually put in a 2 weeks notice and, all of the things, and I had time to prepare. So that this walking away in this way was foreign to me. And I just didn't want to do it. I felt stable on dry ground. I was like, no, you led me back here for a reason. And even though I knew it was an assignment, I thought he was leading me there to promote me within the company, and he was going to do it in such a way that only he could get the glory, right? All eyes would be on him. Well, I was wrong. So I recall maybe a week prior to that, I think, I can't, no, December the 18th, the Holy Spirit said, go, go, go. And then he said, effective immediately. And again, I thought maybe he was talking about where I was living, that it was time to move, because he had been speaking on me moving. And I just wasn't picking up on things. I really had gotten comfortable, and he said those exact words to me on a different day. Comfortable. And then on a separate day, he said playing around. And I was like, playing around? How am I playing around? And how have I gotten comfortable? And I could see that I had gotten comfortable because I was back amongst my work family. It was familiar, and it just felt good, to be on steady ground again. So, but you guys have to excuse me. Like I said, I'm at the park. But again, just to hear him say that I was playing around, I was like, what? So basically, he even said disobedient. I wasn't hearing him clearly. He had said all of the things within like a week's period of time. And I just kept going. I said, well, he'll make it clear whatever it is I'm supposed to be doing. Well, he made it very clear on while I was out over the break that I was to resign. So I prayed about it. I was really upset. I prayed and I said, Lord, why would you lead me back just to pull me away from my coworkers again? Why do we have to do it in this way? So I said, if this is what you want me to do, I need you to give me the strength, give me the courage to do exactly what you've told me to do. So I went into work on Monday, and he did just that. I was able, it's like he strengthened me. I was able to stand up straight and just do what I needed to do over that whole weekend, over the Christmas break. Even though it was in the back of my mind that I had to resign, it still bothered me, but he strengthened me in a way that I didn't expect. Okay. So once I went in on that Monday morning, I went to work thinking I would give a 2 weeks notice, and I was shocked, everybody else would be shocked, and that would be the end of it. Well, when my supervisor was not there, she was out until after the first. So I spoke with my coordinator and my department manager, and I told them what was going on, and they understood that I had to do what I had to do. So they asked me when, what day will be your last day. I said, I'm not sure, being that we have until we're off this Thursday and Friday. I'll just work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is what I'm thinking, and I just won't come back next week, the following week. And they said, okay. So I said, let me think on this. I really want to give 2 weeks. Let me pray on it, and I'll let you know this afternoon. And she said, okay. So I went back up front to work, went back to my desk. And as I'm working, before I could sit down good, I don't think I had been sitting there an hour, if that, maybe 30 minutes. It might have been 5 or 10 minutes. I don't know. But as I was working, the Holy Spirit said, today. And I could not ignore it. And I was like, no, not today. I was devastated, to say the least, but I had to be obedient. So I let them know what he said, and I did what I had to do. I typed up my notice, and throughout the day, I just kind of, cleared out my desk, a few things that I had brought in. And I just recall, even when I purchased the lamp for my desk at work, you guys, I had purchased a few things, just to make my desk comfortable and homey again. I remember buying that lamp from Target. When I purchased that lamp, when I put it in the basket, I recall just sensing, you're not going to be there long. You don't need this. But I bought it anyways. I was like, maybe it's just you. Go ahead and get it. I said, and if the Lord tells you to leave, or whenever he does, just gift it to my daughter, because she works from home. She works remotely. And I said she could use it on her desk. And I left it at that, kept going. Well, here we go. So I put in the notice. I did what I had to do. And as throughout the day, I felt excited. At the same time, I was sad to leave them in the way that I did. And I remember my friend and coworker, her name is Lisa, she said, you seem excited. I said, I am, because I'm excited about what's next. At the same time, I was just like a ball of nerves, you know. So every day has been something different, you know, just a different emotion that I experience. And I'm here to tell you guys that maybe transitioning between your assignments, it can be difficult, but we have to be obedient. I recall listening to a message, just a short clip of Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell, and he was speaking on how he was a youth pastor at this church and he loved the kids. He could relate to them so much. And he recalled, you know, the Lord telling him it was time to move forward. And he just didn't want to do it. You know, he said he laid on the bathroom floor and he just cried. And he was so upset when another pastor came in and told him, it is your job to be obedient and let God deal with the consequences. That right there became my motto. It is my motto right now in the midst of this transition. So I'm spreading this along from Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell to whomever else that may need to hear this. It is your job to be obedient and let God deal with the consequences. You know, even though we may be heartbroken, you know, transitioning, and when it comes to our assignments and the things that God has got us doing, sometimes the assignments we're ready to go, and then there are other times that we're not going to want to leave because we get comfortable. We're on dry ground. But here's the thing, God will take you from dry ground. He wants us to depend on him, and he will have you launching out or pushing out into the deep to follow him. And that's where why I went to this verse as I was praying about it and really just meditating on things and trying to get a better understanding of what the Lord was doing. I said, Lord, where in the Bible can I read where you just had people walk away from their job? Because of course, this is the thing, you know, you may have some that may think God, he's not the author of confusion, and he's not. So why would he just pull you away, snatch you up in that way? You know, it doesn't make sense. While it didn't make sense to me either, but guess what? If you think about this verse, as it says, and I'm going to go back over this with you here. As Jesus was walking beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon called Peter and his brother Andrew. They were casting a net into the lake. They were working, for they were fishermen. Come, follow me, Jesus said, and I will send you out to fish for people. All right? At once, they left their nets and followed him. At once. He said, come, follow me. They were working. They were fishermen, and they became, he said, follow me. You're going to become fishers of people. All right? So I want you to just pay attention to that. As I said, he's going to send you out to fish for people. Going on from there, he saw two other brothers, James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John. Now, it says Jesus called them, and immediately they left the boat and their father and followed him. So if we go back to verse 20, it says at once. Down in verse 22, it says immediately. It didn't say anything about a putting in a notice. You know, let me tie up things on this end, you know, get my business right, leave it to somebody else, train somebody else. It says at once and immediately. If you go over to the Gospel of Mark, it says without delay. Without delay. So all of these words mean the exact same thing. Without delay, at once, immediately. So when God calls and he says, come follow me, he is using me and you as a disciple. I am a disciple, and this is something that I typically don't discuss, and I'm looking at my time to make sure my camera hasn't cut off. The thing is, when God calls us, when he says to come follow me, we must be obedient and let God deal with the consequences. And here's the thing, I'm not telling anyone to walk away from a job and not give a 2 weeks notice. That is not where I'm coming from. I am telling you to be obedient to whatever it is God is telling you to do. Because see, this is the thing. Had I walked away the first time when the Lord let me off this same job after over 20 years, had I walked away without giving a notice, I wouldn't have been able to circle back around and be obedient to what God was telling me to do the second time when he led me back. But here's the thing. Sometimes God will do things, and I had to get a clear understanding of this. Sometimes he will lead you to do things in a way when he wants you to push out into the deep so that you cannot go back. He will have you burn those bridges so that you can't turn around and go back. You have no choice but to step into the unknown. And that's what, if you think about Elijah over in 1 Kings, when he had him, when Elijah threw his cloak on him and told, basically anointed him, he says, let me go kiss my father and mother goodbye and I will follow you. And he said, what have I done to you? Like, you just don't know what you're getting yourself into. He burned up. He had 12 pair of oxen. He was driving the 12th pair. He burnt up the plowing equipment. He cut up the oxen and fed it to the people so that he could not turn around, and he followed Elijah. So he could not turn around and go back. When he turned and looked out to see, this is what's up ahead of me, this is what's in front of me. So he couldn't get afraid and turn around and go back to do what he used to do, go back to the familiar. And I really believe that's what God was doing in this time with me. He had me to walk away this time because it's time for me to step into the unknown. I got to step out into the deep. I got to push out now into what's not familiar for such a time as this. He's been saying to me, Esther 4:14, for such a time as this. It is time for me to step into the assignment, the thing that he's been preparing me for. And I know that it's going to be so big. He's told me this, that it's going to scare me, but I don't have a choice. I got to move forward. Because see, sometimes we can get comfortable on dry land. God doesn't want us to get comfortable on dry land. He's doing it in such a way that I have to rely on him every step of the way. And it's like that with some of you guys. Steward your transitions well. You know when God is saying, put in the notice, it's time to go. You're going to this place. Like I did go to Texas for 2 years on an assignment there with my aunt, not even recognizing I was on an assignment until he said, your assignment here is done. And again, like I was saying before, I don't share this with a lot of people. I don't just go about saying, oh, hey, I'm a prophet, I'm this. No. Because this is not the life I chose. God chose me for this, okay? For this walk, this journey. When I gave my life to him, when I surrendered, I answered the call. I had no idea that I am a prophet and he would be using me in this way, but I am. So I'm putting that out there. Yes, I am a prophet of the Lord. I have been chosen to walk out this journey before others as the blueprint, so that I'm a disciple, so that I can make disciples of others. So now all eyes are on him through me, for those that know me, that are watching me, watching my journey. Again, it's not an easy one, but I have to be obedient. Am I afraid? Of course I am. I'm afraid in a sense of I don't have the control. When you're out here and you're just feeling a little bit shaky, like, Lord, what are we doing? What are we doing? You got me out here. When I tell y'all, I think I crash out almost daily. Maybe not every day. Some days are good days. Some days are not. But those days that are not good that are good days, then I might crash out twice the following day. So it's just what it is. But I love the Lord and I trust him with all of my heart. I put all of my hope, my faith, and my trust in him. And that's what I want you guys to do. Steward your transition well, knowing, when it is time to go, when it is time to put in that notice. And see, this is the thing. I know there are times, like I said, even leaving HRSD the first time, leaving the city of Plano, putting in a notice. I have put in a notice everywhere I have gone up until now. But this time, he set it up so that I couldn't. No notice, go, effective immediately. So I had to do what I had to do. And guess what? Because now I know that it is time. Just like Elijah, when he had to go speak on Mount Carmel, it is time for me to do whatever it is God has been preparing me to do. Esther 4:14 is what he said. And you have been called for such a time as this. All right? So I just wanted to share that. I hope I covered everything, with you guys. But I just wanted to answer a few questions for those of you. And I thank you for those of you that are supporting me, that are following me, and that are just truly here to make sure I'm okay. Because I had a girlfriend, a good girlfriend of mine, to reach out, and she said, I just wanted to hear my friend's voice. I just wanted to know that you are okay. Even though she didn't understand, and some of you may not understand, she said, I'm still here for you, friend. I'm here to support you no matter what. So for those of you that may not understand, what I need right now in this season is real support. That's what I need right now, not judgment. You know, even if you just want to be nosy and you want to see what the Lord is doing, follow along, stay with me. But I don't need the judgment. This is a time where either you're going to follow me, you're going to be here, either you're going to, you know, stay along to see what's going on along the journey, or you're going to fall off. And I'm okay with that. You don't have to be here for me. You know, either you can rock with me or you can rock without me. That's cool. I'm good either way. I'm going to be good either way, okay? But I'm thankful for the friends, the true friends in my life, the true girlfriends and, you know, guy friends that I have that are here for me, that love me. And even if they just want to see, Lord, what is going on? What is the Lord doing through her? You know, because those that truly love me, that, you know, they cry for me. They're a little bit anxious for me, even though the word tells us not to be anxious for anything. But they're just like, whoa, girl, I don't know what's going on, but I'm here for you. You know, I can appreciate that. I really can. So I just want to let you know, be obedient and let God deal with the consequences. And know how to steward your transition. Know when God is saying, put in the notice. And know when he is saying, go, effective immediately. Because when it's time to go, effective immediately, it's time to step out into the deep. All right? I love you guys, and I will see you next time.